Here we have an example where they're giving us a function, it's an x squared function. They're asking us for f of x plus h, then this, which is the difference quotient, and then the derivative, which is the limit as h goes to 0 of the difference quotient. Okay, this one's going to be a lot of work. Let's take it step by step. I'm going to bring this first one down. So we have, we want to know f of x plus h. Well, what that means is, so you remember how a function works, right? Like here's the function up here. If I was to say, hey, what's f of, 10? What would you do? Well, you remember how a function works? This anything you plug in here goes right there and right there. It's like the holes in a toaster, right? You put it in the toaster and you push down the lever. So if you put a 10 in, for example, the 10 is going to go right there and the 10 is going to go right there. It's going to be minus 3 times 10 squared minus 5 times 10 minus, so then you just got to work that out, right? So then what if you put in, excuse me, a whole x plus h? Well, it's the same thing. The whole x plus h will just go there. So minus 3x plus h squared minus 5x plus h minus 2. See how I just plugged in the whole x plus h? That's what a function does with an x. The x is just the holes in the toaster, just slides in there. So now we got to simplify this. So how do we do that? Well, carefully. One common mistake people make is they go, oh, you just square. That's wrong. It's just x squared plus h squared. That's not true. You got to read that out of your system. Let me prove it. What if you had 2 plus 3 and you were squaring it? What is it really? It's really 5 squared, which is really 25. If you just squared, you'd only get 2 squared, 3 squared, you'd only get 4 plus 9, 13. See how that's garbage? That's just not true. So you can't just square. That's just not true. Well, then what do? You got to write two of them and FOIL. That's what's true. You've got to come in here and write x plus h, x plus h. And then here the minus, whoops, did that very well. The minus 5 is going to distribute minus 5x minus 5h minus 2. So how do we carry this out? Well, the I'm going to take this. Here, I'll do a different color. This is again. So how do you multiply two things, two things? This guy goes first and goes to both. The minus there, I'm just going to let it sit there in the front for a minute. Then this will be x squared plus xh. He's done. And now this guy's going to go to both. Plus xh plus h squared. And then we have the part at the back, minus 5x minus 5h minus 2. And now I'm going to take that minus 3 and I'm going to distribute that one. Boom, 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 boom. And so what do we get? Minus 3x squared minus 3xh minus 3xh minus 3h squared. And then minus 5x minus 5h minus 2. Now gather some terms together. Minus 3x and minus 3x, those are like terms. Minus 6h xh minus 3h squared, and then everything else. Minus 5x, minus 5h, minus 2. And so that's what they have right here. Notice that is indeed the answer. They put it in a little bit different order, but it's the same thing. It doesn't matter the order. Okay, so that's the first question. That's just the first one. Now, on the second one, they want us to figure out the difference quotient. So let's do that very carefully. In fact, let me just write it right over here for us. They want us to find f of x plus h of x all over h. Okay, so let me do that for us. Okay, so first off, it's going to be all this stuff. Minus 3x squared minus 6xh minus 3h squared minus 5x minus 5h minus 2. All of that is f of x plus h, right? That's what we found here, f of x plus h. It's all of that. So now subtract what? F of x. And what's f of x? Well, from the very beginning, here it is. F of x is that, minus 3x squared minus 5x minus 2. So minus 3x squared minus 5x minus 2. Did I get that right? Minus 3x squared minus 5x minus 2. Yeah. Okay, all over h. All right, what a mess. What do we do now? Well, now we have to distribute. Now there's nothing in front of this parenthesis. If there was a number like 2 or whatever, it would distribute. If there was a minus sign, it would distribute, but there's nothing in front. So you can just drop those parentheses. They're not really doing anything. This is f of x. I just want to point out this is f of x plus h minus f of x. Okay. So let's just drop the first set of parentheses. And then the second set, boom, boom, boom. It's going to distribute. So it's that minus sign is going to distribute like anything in front of a parenthesis. When we drop the parentheses, it's like water outside of a floodgate. When you drop the walls, the water goes in, the negative's going in. It's going to hit plus 3x squared plus 5x plus 2 all over h. Okay, let's cancel. Boom, boom. Minus 5x plus 5x minus 2 plus 2. All right, it's getting a lot better. What are we left with? We have minus 6xh minus 3h squared minus 5h, right? This term, this term, this term, all over h. Okay, we're close. We're close. What do we do now? Well, now we just cancel these h's. I hope you know you cannot do that. Why not? Why can't you just cancel those h's? You cannot cancel added, subtracted items, right? This you might say, well, yeah, this is times, yeah, but there's added subtracting going on there. You'd be taking part of an added subtracted item. Can't do it. You can only cancel multiplied items. Let me write a note. Only cancel multiplied items, not added. So you can prove it. Let me just prove it up here. What if I had 2 plus 4 over 2? What is that really? Well, it's really 6 over 2. It's really 3. See how if you cancel the 2's, now it's 4. See how that's garbage? You can't cancel those. You might say, well, was the problem really the adding? It is. What if it was times? What if it was 2 times over 2? That's really 8 over 2, which is 4. See how canceling is okay now? See how it's really 4? So you see, you can only cancel multiplied items. Canceling added items or subtracted items is garbage. You can only cancel multiplied items. Okay, well, we don't have any. Well, here's what you do, is you factor the h out of the top. You see. Factor the h. See how they all have an h? Factor it out, then it'll be multiplied. Minus 6x minus 3h minus 5. See how that's right? I didn't try that very well. I'm just growing weary of this problem. It's a long one. All right, so see how that's correct. Because if that h multiplied, it'd go back to minus 6xh. If it multiplied, it'd go back to minus 3h squared. If it multiplied, it'd go back to minus 5h. Now I can cancel these two. Because now that's a multiplied item. He's not added to anything. He's not involved in adding and subtracting in any way. Whereas back here, this term was involved in subtraction. But yeah, but not the h. He's whatever. He's part of somebody that's involved with adding, subtracting. You can't cancel him. Can't cancel added, subtracted items, only multiplied items. Okay, so what does that leave us with? Just what you're seeing right here. So this is the answer to the second part. Minus 6x minus 3h minus 5, you see? Now, last thing, now that we have that, I'll just do it right here. Now we're going to take the limit, take that answer we just got, which is this, and take the limit as h goes to 0. So I want the limit as h goes to 0 of this. So I'll put in parentheses minus 6x minus 3h minus 5. So let h become 0. So put a 0 in front. It wipes out this term. And we just have minus 6x minus 5, which is indeed the final answer. And what is that? What did we just do? What's all this mess for? That's the derivative of the function using the difference quotient. That's when you take that's the slope at just one point. Why? Because this right here is a fancy y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I showed it in an earlier video. I showed how we derived it, how we had 2 points, and then if you let the h go to 0, that the 2 points shrink back and become infinitesimally close. They become effectively 1 point, and you've got the slope at only 1 point. We call that the derivative, slope of the tangent line. It goes by many names. It's famous in math science. It's one of the most important things in calculus, and we just did it. It's the limit as h goes to 0 of this difference quotient, and there it is. Now, having done all that, let me give you a shortcut for the final answer. It's just a shortcut to get to the final answer. All you have to do to get the final, you have to go through all the work to get the first two answers. No getting around that. But I want to give you a nice way to double check that you didn't mess up along the way. So here's what you do. You take the original one, f of x is minus 3x squared minus 5x minus 2. You might already know this. And you take the power and you just multiply it down to the front. Minus 6x, like that. And then the other parts, the x you get rid of, the minus 2 you get rid of, and just bring in the minus 5. Boom. Oh, sorry, my pen is losing it here. And there it is. Look at that. That'll work every time. You think, why didn't we just do that then? We will. We will soon. In a couple of sections, we'll start doing the shortcuts. We won't do it the long way anymore. But we have to first make sure we see the long way because that shows where it really comes from. Math isn't just a bunch of tricks. Math is logic and reasons for things. That's what math and science are. So I want you to see the logic, the reason. Why do we use this? I showed it in an earlier video. This is a y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. It's a slope of a tangent line. It's a slope for 2 points, and then when you let h go to 0, you let that second point go back to the first point, so it's only 1 point. So we're finding the slope at only 1 point. That's what we're really doing. But there is a nice shortcut. Just take that power, multiply it to the front number, keep that x, get rid of the other stuff after the x and beyond, I should say, and it's just minus 6x minus 5. That's a good double check for your last answer. If that's not coming out right, look back, you messed something up along the way. And so there we go.